Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the program, Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Got a good show lined up today. We'll have JC talking sports around the country, and we'll have Mike Morgan from ESPN, the SEC Network, get his thoughts on he just called the regional down at Georgia Southern, and I believe Notre Dame came out of that one. So we'll get his thoughts on that. I'll talk to him about SEC football. And if you got any questions for him, he's one of the guys that's up for the play-by-play for the voice of the Mighty Gators. So we'll see what happens there. Good morning, JC. You're on the MRI hotline. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's so exciting. I'll tell you what I really think is that the Gator baseball team, I didn't mention, I wasn't on yesterday, QB, but I almost feel like Mother Nature screwed the Gators, and I don't know. I mean, you're winning a game. You've got 2 innings to get through or 3, and then all of a sudden, the pause button gets hit, and everything is disrupted. You're on a roll. You're thinking about, we're going to win this game against Oklahoma. We're going to move on to Blacksburg, Virginia, and everything got taken away. That's just how I feel about it. I don't know if Oklahoma's going to beat Virginia Tech or not, but I care less now. I thought the Gators were going to pull it out. So that's over. Softball's over. Obviously, we got Oklahoma and Texas playing in the finals. I think if you like money and you have access, if you don't bet a lot on Oklahoma to beat Texas in this best out of 3 in the College World Series, then I don't think you're paying attention, because I think it's not even going to be close. I don't.
Here's the thing: is they're probably going to be. I don't think in softball they do money line. I think it's run line. I think, like, I saw somewhere where Oklahoma was like a 5.5 run lead, favored over UCLA. Well, they lost game 1, so you would have lost there, but you would have won game 2.
Yeah, you could have just got your money back and doubled down. Look, nobody's beaten that team 2 out of 3 times. I mean, God bless Texas, right? They came out of really nowhere this year. They've gotten to the finals. They're going to be so overmatched. It's not even going to be that much fun to watch unless you hate Texas for some reason. Maybe you're a Texas A&M Aggie and you want to watch the poor Texas girls get embarrassed, but they're going to lose. You've got last night, I think for the first time in this series, the Tampa Bay Lightning right here, I think, took control of this series by winning last night and winning in impressive fashion. The Rangers may be finally showing a little bit of attrition or fatigue. They were not skating the same way they skated in the first 3 games. And the Rangers had their chance to put the Lightning away in game 3, and they couldn't hold on to a 2-1 lead in the 3rd period. And now that Tampa Bay, I think, has got their legs underneath them, they may just win this thing in 6 and win 4 straight games. Only because once you see that Vasilevsky is the Stanley Cup champion that we know him as, and is literally not allowing anything get by, and once you see Tampa start scoring, they're hard to deal with. So Colorado's waiting in the wings, and this would be so exciting for Tampa Bay if they could finish off New York. They got to win 2 out of 3 now. So. And
the Lightning nobody's won on their opposing team's ice yet, so
no, it's a whole series. We'll see. I mean, it goes back to Madison Square tomorrow night. We've got basketball with the Celtics and the Warriors. I think the Warriors, they got themselves back in it, playing physical. Draymond Green, I think, was the biggest reason for Golden State to muck up the game 2 and bring this thing to Boston all tied up at 1. They're not doing the 2-3-2 format now. It's just 2-2-1-1-1. So maybe that works for one of the teams. Maybe it doesn't. But Boston better win game 3 if they want to hold on and to home court advantage, of course. And so that's tonight. And I almost forgot about that because it seems
they're playing. They're making it like a month long just to finals.
It's stupid. Yeah, I mean, they seem to look. They played every other night in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. Now they've given them a couple extra days off during the finals. Of course, cross country traveling going on. But I don't.
JC, they have their own team planes. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's stupid.
And then you've got golfers leaving to go play in London, and parts unknown for a paycheck. I mean, it's almost like they're prostituting themselves to go play in a tour that nobody cares
about. But let me ask you this, because I talked with Buddy about this yesterday, and we got other stuff we got to talk about. We're going to talk about golf a little bit later, but I'm going to go ahead and with JC, if JC was on tour, okay, and somebody said, we'll give you $125 million to come play our tour.
Yeah,
you're gone, brother. You're gone.
It's hard to say no, but QB, think about this for a minute. When you're worth $1 billion or $500 million, I mean, Tiger said no. So it's almost like how much
Tiger ain't really playing a whole lot either.
No, it's true. But it's like, okay, I get the whole money thing, but like what you're not going to be.
It's no different. It's no different than that left tackle that said no to Alabama and signed with Texas A&M because they gave him the money.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe he didn't like that Dodge Charger he could have gotten. But the thing is that. Really, the LIV tour is not going to be something that's going to be in the forefront of people's frontal lobe when it comes to golf. They're still going to watch the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is what made these people who they are, and they did it on that tour. And now they're just basically saying, "Sure, I'll sell out, and I'll go overseas and play against a bunch of European Tour players or whoever." I mean, let's face it. All this is a souped-up version of the European Tour. That's it. That's all it is. They're playing in London. They're going to have 8 or 10 events, whatever, and great. Then I guess they'll play in the majors back here. It really does make sense when you think about it, because the U.S. Open is going to allow them to come back. The Masters is probably going to be able to do whatever they want. They're going to be able to play.
The only major that has any say-so that can actually that the PGA. The PGA Championship is part of the PGA Tour. The other majors aren't part of the PGA Tour.
That's right. I know.
So they can do what they want to do.
They can do what they want.
But if you resign from the PGA Tour, you will not play in the PGA Championship.
Right. Now, I don't. Well, what about the TPC? Will you play in that?
That's part of the PGA Tour. That's not a major.
Right. So
when you resign, which Dustin Johnson has resigned, Louis Oosthuizen,
Kevin Na.
I mean, there's multiple. I think Ricky Fowler's getting ready to do it. Sergio's done it. They got a bunch of money over there giving away. All right, let's switch gears real quick. We'll get back to golf. John says here, and I missed this, obviously. He says, QB, what are your thoughts about Sully moving on from Craig Bell? Any idea who's looking to replace him? Craig Bell has been a longtime assistant, third base coach. I guess they fired him. That's news to me, John.
Yeah. I heard that yesterday.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I was busy yesterday, so I did not hear that. I don't know. I don't know the coaching world when it comes to college baseball. I know they had Brad Weitzel, who was a lot of people thought he was a tremendous talent evaluator. Sully got rid of him a few years ago. So I don't know. I think we still got to see if Sully's still around here in a couple of weeks.
Well, I think by taking action like this, he probably feels like he will be if he's still in charge. If he were going to leave, I don't think he would care what he does with these assistants, and he'd be thinking otherwise. But when you're at a place for as long as this coach has been here, maybe sometimes it works both ways. It could be like, I need a new change of scenery. The grass is greener on the other side, or it could be, I just don't feel like moving. I'm fine where I'm at. I'm getting paid. I don't want to move, QB. You're never going to leave Gainesville. So, I mean, it's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm good where I'm at. I've got the money, even though my property taxes are through the roof. But anyway, I've got plenty of money, and I've got a thing going here. I don't feel like moving at all in this stuff.
What if somebody up in Clemson offered you a lot of money, JC? Would you go? What if we've already gone to the LIV tour? John says, if someone offered me $120 million to play golf, I would say yes before they could get done saying million.
Yeah, it makes
sense. Back to that. We're all over the place today, but back to that. Do you realize they're going to be shotgun starting those tournaments?
No, that
was the big talk. If you looked on Twitter, the people that are the Brandel Chamblees of the world, these guys that are kind of bashing these guys for leaving.
Yeah.
In some of the pressers, the guys, the PGA Tour players that are over there are like, well, a lot of these tournaments with the timing of your draw, you get screwed in these tournaments. Weather, whatever. They're like, well, everybody's going to shotgun start.
Yeah.
It's like playing scramble.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering if Kyle Morris is running the tournament over there. So I think it is interesting. I will say it's interesting, but I will also say that if they're playing 6 hours ahead of me in a tournament that I'm not familiar with, it's not the British Open, I'm not going to watch it. I can almost promise you I'm not going to watch it. I don't care to watch Dustin Johnson play against a bunch of European Tour players. I don't care how much money the guy has. It's like, okay, at some point you got to decide, are you going to spend time watching this crap? And the answer is likely going to be no. You're playing in Spain. You're playing in Saudi Arabia. You're playing.
They're going to play in the U.S. somewhere.
Are they?
Yeah, like I think at Greg Norman's.
Well, listen, it doesn't matter to them. I mean, they're flying private anyway, and they're still going to, like you said, they're still going to play in the majors except the PGA. So fine. I mean, if you can play in the Masters, what else do you need? I mean, you're not going to play in. I mean, the U.S. Open, the Masters, and maybe the British Open, and that's fine for them. That's good for them. They're all good about that, and I don't know. I guess that would be good for me too. Certainly, for that kind of crazy money. They've got it to throw around. Have you tried to fill up your gas tank lately?
Yeah, it ain't good. That's why you got to walk everywhere, JC. You should be losing weight.
Well,
you should be losing weight. You could jog to your office.
It's true. I should. Although I'd look like I just played, a football game, so I'd be sweaty. I could, and I think this is what they want. They want us all to walk or ride our bikes to wherever we have to go, so that the sky doesn't fall out of it. And so. We'll see.
John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon, Nick De La Torre, who tweeted out the Craig Bell news, said Sully wasn't going to Clemson for what it's worth. He's very close to the baseball program as well. Cliff says, I think the baseball team is in good shape for next season, depending on the recruits we get. We got a top-notch recruiting class coming in. Baseball's strange, though, because you never know if the kids are actually going to show up. But look, I personally think this baseball team overachieved. I know a lot of people are upset, but at one point we weren't even going to Hoover. It's a young team. I think it's a point where Sully, maybe he's going to reevaluate how he goes about signing kids. It may be, I'm going to go sign the top 2 junior college pitchers in America. Bring some experience in instead of worry about these young kids. Are they going to go pro, whatever? So baseball's going to be fine. Look, there's going to be teams that are going to be disappointed this weekend because they don't make it to Omaha. Only one team's going to be happy at the end. And it's a shame, though. I agree. The weather kind of screwed us, but it is what it is.
Well, but they did play their best baseball at the most important time. And that got them where they got. I mean, you're right. A month ago, we didn't see this regional.
Here's the regional, and we're going to talk more with Mike Morgan about it because he's into baseball and covered it. And I don't know if he's doing any games this weekend. We'll find out. But boy, is there going to be chaos in Hattiesburg, Mississippi this weekend.
I love it.
The Rebels, who didn't even make it to Hoover,
I love it
or one series away from going to the World Series. Do you know this will be the 4th or the 5th straight year that a school from Mississippi will be in the College World Series?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that, but I think it's great, and I'm really rooting hard. But you're right. The way they at least do it the correct way in baseball by matching up teams geographically and keeping things as close to home as they can, with the exception of a few teams in these previous regionals, is really dramatic. And it's going to be, they haven't had this much excitement QB in Hattiesburg, Mississippi since Brett Favre went 10-0-1 back in the late 80s or early 90s, whatever it was, when I was over there announcing for WHLT. And my first ever interview in my illustrious television career was with a guy named Brett Favre. And he told me his name was Favre. And I said, well, how's that? Your R is behind the V. And he said, well, that's just the way it is. I said, well, okay, will you hold this white paper so I can white balance the camera before we start our interview? He said, yes, sir. And Curly Hallman was the coach. Hattiesburg hasn't had anything in terms of sporty excitement in 25, 30 years. And you're right. It's going to come unglued this weekend if they beat Ole Miss. If they can beat the Mississippi Rebels and Mike Bianco, who I mean, he's one of the best, right? I mean, look at how they perform.
They've been wanting to fire him. They were wanting to fire him if he didn't make it to Hoover.
Well, sure, and I see it, but look at where they are now. They're 2 wins away from Omaha, and good for them for beating Arizona and paying back the Wildcats for the way they were treated out west last year in Tucson. So, but Southern Miss is excited, and it's good to see because it's a school that mostly gets forgotten, and it's really close.
We got a couple of texts here on the Titan MR text line. First one comes from Larry regarding Gator softball. He asked, it's very long-winded, but he's like, what does softball have to do to get to be back being dominant? Well, look, it's a premier, one of the top 5 programs in America. They've been to the World Series 11 of the 17 years Tim's been here. They really overachieved this year, in my opinion. He's got the top pitcher in America. Now, sometimes that doesn't pan out, but he's got the top pitcher in America coming in next year. They're very young. They only had 3 starters in the starting 9. I think softball will be fine. I know Tim ain't real happy the way the season ended. He's happy they got there. He loves his team, but he's a grinder, and softball will be fine. Another text on the Titan MR text line from Bob in Lincoln, Nebraska. We got people out in Husker country.
Big red country.
He said, hey, guys, I love the show. As of today, what record did y'all pick for Gator football to have?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a hard schedule, Bob. And thank you for coming at us.
Hang on a second. Hold your thought. I had to laugh at this. Andy on Facebook Live says, Brett says he remembers that interview, JC.
Well, that makes 2 of us then, by God. I had trouble getting the tripods put up, but nobody knew who he was. He was a freshman, and he was very nice. Very nice. Curly Hallman, by the way, one of the greatest coaches I've ever got the privilege to work with. It's too bad it didn't work out for him at LSU, but it did at Southern Miss. So Bob, that's great. Thanks for coming to us from Lincoln, man. That's cool. Big Red Country. Scott Frost better win 7 this year. Or otherwise Trev Alberts is going to get rid of them. Having said that, Florida's going to go either 7-5 or 8-4. And the reason I say that is because I think they'll have a winning schedule because I like Billy Napier, and I think he's got what he's trying, but the talent level, or the depth, I should say, just isn't quite what he needs to challenge for the SEC yet. But looking at that schedule, man, now I think Utah's gone ahead as a 2-point favorite, looking at the lines. But looking at that schedule, it is rough. It is really rough. It is hard. It's the hardest schedule, I think, for most or any team in the East. So it's realistic to say 7-5, 8-4. What do you think, QB?
I'm right there with you. I just think it's going to be an uphill battle. I hope I'm wrong. But I think the front 7 defensively is not SEC caliber right now. I think you're going to see a team that's going to run the football, because I think they have some really good running backs.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of zone read and a lot of RPOs with Anthony Richardson, where he doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to read. He only has to read one defender on the field when it's an RPO game or zone reads, and just let him use his athletic ability. They're going to try to punt the football, play defense, and that's what you're going to see. That's the only thing. They can't sit back here and try to outscore people and things of that nature.
You just said the defensive front's going to be, the front 7 is going to be a concern. So if it's punting the football and playing field position and playing defense, it could be.
No, what I'm saying is punting the football and playing field position, even though you don't have in my opinion, if you don't have a great defense, it's still making teams go 80, 85 yards to score points is a hell of a lot harder than when they get the ball at midfield because you turn it over a bunch.
Yeah.
He's talking, I mean, it's the old cliche. We're going to protect the football. We're going to try to get takeaways, and we're going to run it. And that's what you're going to see, in my opinion. Now, things can change, but we will see. Got a couple of Facebook Lives here before we get to our golf picks. Dan asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon, do you think the SEC is taking a step back in softball compared to the Big 12, although Texas and OU are in the SEC soon? No, I mean, Texas had a remarkable run. This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th year for Mike White, their coach, who took Oregon to the World Series. He's from New Zealand. He was like a professional fast pitch guy. He's a great coach. He took an unranked Texas team who has some talent, and they've had a remarkable year. Oklahoma State obviously is back in the hunt in the Big 12 due to former Gator assistant Kenny Gajewski. But OU is clearly the team, and they're going to be in the SEC. I still think the SEC, even though we only had one team make it out there, is still the premier conference in softball right now. But good gracious, is it going to be a bloodbath? Same way in baseball when those two join the crew.
Well, I mean, you could be in Florida State, the number 2 seed, and didn't even get out of their own home regional. So I think the talent in softball is kind of being spread out a little bit now. It seems like there's more teams just popping up out of nowhere to challenge. And because of the popularity of the sport and because more you're seeing, I just think it's growing. And
I agree with that 100%. I think it's the one sport that has grown the most. And I think the SEC network, ESPN's coverage of it for the last 10, 12 years, there's girls in the Southeast growing up wanting to play that sport, whereas we don't have the Southern schools don't have to go out west now to find girls to play. And there's a lot of parity around the country. JC, I want to get you. I meant to bring this up, and I'm glad that Dan did. He goes, "Hey guys, what about Walmart buying the Denver Broncos for $4.65 billion?"
Well, I guess Walmart needs to spend money. Listen, Pat Bowlen's estate, it was very successful under his leadership. He passed away and the team was put into a trust. And, Walmart just, they had an estate sale out in Colorado. And I don't know. I mean, what do you think, QB? You think there's going to be greeters at every gate at, Invesco Field? Hey, welcome to Invesco Field with their little gold.
Well, why don't they change? Why are they going to change the name of the stadium?
Well, sure. It'll be Walmart Park or Walmart Stadium. And hey, welcome to Walmart Field. Enjoy your day today as the Packers roll in. I mean, this division, the AFC West, QB, is going to be so competitive. It probably will be the most competitive division in football when you look at the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos now with Russell Wilson, and the Chargers. And the damn Raiders with their new coach who came from New England. Why can't I think of his name? The offensive coordinator from New England. So who am I thinking of, QB? It's who I'm talking about. Belichick's OC was a young guy.
Josh McDaniels.
Right. So he's the coach now at Oakland. Oakland, my God, he's the coach in Vegas. So I mean, so many moving parts. The Chargers are in LA and the Raiders are in Vegas. God. This is not what we grew up with, QB. But the point is that's going to be, to me, the best division in the AFC and maybe one of the best in the entire football league, entire NFL. So I'm going, by the way, to the Steelers Cincinnati Bengals game in November, and hopefully it'll be cold. It'll be football weather.
It will be. Where is this game being played?
It's being played at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh.
It'll be very cold.
Yeah. I can't wait. Football weather, Steelers, I'll be throwing my terrible towel out there. And hopefully they'll have, a good record and they'll be competitive in that very difficult AFC North because the Bengals, folks, are the real deal. And so they're coming to town. It's Sunday Night Football. You'll see me and Carrie Underwood and everybody else there. Yeah.
Ruziger State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreninsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. A few more minutes with JC here on the Titan More Hotline. We'll have Mike Morgan from ESPN SEC Network join us at 8:30. JC, let's get to our Peachland Dental weekend picks. Our golf picks, Gator Nation's number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. Now it's time for the Peachland Dentistry golf picks. Okay, so they are playing next week is the U.S. Open.
Yep.
Which, by the way, congratulations to Fred Biondi, the Gator golfer. He qualified for the U.S. Open as a Gator, as an amateur. He will be playing there at wherever they're playing in Massachusetts. So this week they're up in Canada, which they're going to shoot 27 under par to win it.
Yeah, up in Toronto at St. George's Golf and Country Club, what they call the RBC Canadian Open.
Yeah, RBC, they dropped Dustin Johnson as a sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? There's going to be fallout, but I don't think he cares. And why would he? He's got $200 million sitting in his bank, and I don't even know what the taxes are since it's being paid by Saudi Arabians. So anyway, having said that, it's probably what I think it is. But having said that, this is going to be a warm up for the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open next week, QB, as we've talked about, is going to be at Brookline in southwest Boston, Massachusetts. That's a great track. Hasn't been there in a while. So this is kind of a warm up. So you want to look at golfers who would play that course well to maybe tune themselves up this week if they want to. There are some big names in this tournament that typically are not in this tournament. A lot of guys always take the week off before a major like the U.S. Open. So who do you like? Well, I'm going to go with, obviously there's going to be a name that you don't have at the top of your top of your mind, maybe that comes out of win. I'm going to go with Shane Lowry, a guy that usually plays these majors really well. You see his name in the leaderboard at the Masters all the time. He's usually always competitive in the British Open. I think he's getting ready to win something. So let's go with him in the RBC this weekend.
Big Irishman, Shane Lowry.
Yeah.
How much beer do you think he can drink?
3 times as much as the two of us.
Oh, easily. All right, I'm going with the LSU Tiger, Sam Burns.
Well, he won, what, last week or the week before? When was it?
I don't know. He's a good player, though.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
I love it when people say that. He's a good player. Damn, get kids on the PGA Tour. He is a good player.
Yeah. Good job, QB. Good job. Glad that you gave Sam Burns his credit. He is a good player. He's won a couple times now on tour. He's big time. All right, I'm just kind of scrolling through the roster of players. There's so many guys I don't recognize here. A lot of guys trying to get a 2-year exemption by winning this tournament, so they could really do well by winning it. But I'm just going to just take a name that we're familiar with, and I'll just go with Rory.
Well, there you go. You're taking 2 Irishmen.
That's right. I'm going Irish right now. Yep.
I'm going to go.
Cheers, Mike.
I'm going to go with my guy because I think he was in the hunt last week, and then he's hitting it all over the ballpark. But his short game and the Golden Bear says he is the best wedge player he has ever seen.
Really?
And that's the Australian redneck, Cam Smith.
Cam Smith. I mean,
Jack, I was watching a lot of the tournament, and Jack being on the telecast, he goes, "I've never seen anybody with a short game and a wedge game like Cam Smith."
That is high praise coming from a guy whose generation included Seve Ballesteros. Okay, he basically invented the short game. Jose Maria was almost as good as he was. Okay, these guys were magicians with the short game, and I agree with Jack in that Cam Smith's short game is amazing, but he might be forgetting who Seve was. Okay, so in light of the 2 Irishmen I took, I'm just going to stay all foreign players. I'm going to take a guy that has probably no chance to win, but he is a Canadian. All right. And he's playing in Toronto. And that would be one Adam Hadwin. So
he had a hole-in-one the other day, I think.
Yeah, Hadwin is his name is not up in the winner's circle, but it typically does find the leaderboard quite a bit, as does Corey Connors. But I had to pick one of them, so I'll go with Hadwin. You going to take Corey Connors?
I like Corey Connors' game, but I'm going to stick with the Englishman, the little small guy, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
he makes a lot of birdies.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He's kind of like that Victor Hovland. He can go low, and then all of a sudden he's got a triple bogey on the card. So, yeah, I mean that's fun. I mean, we know a lot of guys like that, don't we, QB?
Yes, we do. If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Connects for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Connects, 352-400-4550. Give them a call. All right, JC, before we let you go, Dan says Fred Biondi is qualified. I mentioned that. He's a really good close friend of my son. They play a lot of golf together, and congratulations to Fred. Let's pick, because I know some of the super regionals probably start on Friday afternoon, but I think some start Thursday. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go through them. Do you have them in front of you? Who's playing?
I could easily. You just go on.
Well, I wanted to pick them. That's why I wanted.
Okay. Well, I'll pull them up real quick. I know that off the top of my head there are. I know who's hosting.
Well, there are 5 SEC schools still alive.
Okay.
Who are you going to pick between the Golden Eagles and the Rebels?
Well, I'm going to stay with a conference. I'm a conference guy. I always have said that. So give me Mississippi, but it would not hurt my feelings at all to see Southern Miss go to the College World Series. That would be tremendous for the folks in Southern Mississippi and in that part of the state that doesn't get any attention because of the 2 big brothers north of them. So I'm kind of rooting for Southern, but I love the way Ole Miss is playing right now. I'll take the Rebels, but that's a shaky pick right there, QB.
Yeah, I like the Black Bears to move on as well.
Right,
I'm trying to think. Have you pulled it up yet?
Well, okay. So we've got Virginia Tech, right? Virginia Tech's going to be playing
Oklahoma. I'm going to take the Hokies there to win that series.
Yeah. Okay. I've got it pulled up now. How about this one? This is going to be a series in Greenville, North Carolina. We have a watcher named Bubba Rosenbaum who watches us religiously, has his own podcast up in Greenville. So hello, Bubba. He is an East Carolina Pirate. Okay. They are hosting the Texas Longhorn. And again, another town like Greenville, North Carolina, getting the big stage, and it's so great to see in college athletics. Some of these schools like Hattiesburg and Greenville, North Carolina, get to host something as exciting as this.
All right, so JC, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do because I got Mike Morgan waiting.
Oh, okay.
Dan let me know that Supers don't start till Friday and some on Saturday, so we're going to hold off on our picks.
Oh, okay, we'll do it Friday. Okay, sounds like a winner, but we'll look it up.
All right, JC, go jog to work, save your gas.
Okay, see you guys.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. I'm going to take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll be joined by Mike Morgan from the SEC Network and ESPN. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Ironwood Golf Course, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, Dave & Buster's, Regal Cinemas, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Medici's, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30 you can get the hottest brunch in town. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to head to the Titan MR Hotline right now. We're going to be joined by ESPN and the SEC Network play-by-play guy, Mike Morgan. Good morning, Mike. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Shane. Good to be a part of the podcast. I know I've done this before, but it feels like the technology of the Pot Up with Shane Matthews podcast has just grown by leaps and bounds.
Yes, we don't mess around, Mike. I have nothing to do with that. I just turn my computer on a daily basis, and we move forward. All right, let's start with you right now. You called the regional, I want to say at Georgia Southern. I think Notre Dame won that. Where are you this weekend calling?
Yeah, I'm heading to Chapel Hill. In fact, I'll leave tomorrow. We'll meet with the coaches on Friday. And I think we've got as good, if not the best super regional of the bunch. It's North Carolina, Arkansas. It's SEC, ACC. We'll have great crowds at Boshemer Stadium. Two teams that are really playing terrific baseball, and obviously a lot on the line. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year in all the events I do on TV and radio for the three sports. Super Regionals just has such an incredible feel to it, incredible drama to it. The fact that you either get to go to Omaha, which is the dream of every kid that puts on the uniform, or your season and in many cases your career comes to an abrupt ending. So I always circle this on the calendar. I've had a chance to call them now 10 years in a row on ESPN, and before that on radio. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I believe there are 5 SEC teams, Mike, still left in college baseball. Do you possibly see all 5 of them going to Omaha?
No, I think that might be a little bit lofty, Shane. I personally, look, I think the SEC was fortunate to get 5. Okay, this is not the best year that we've seen in the Southeastern Conference. I've certainly seen better years. Tennessee is like in another stratosphere in terms of how good they are. They're one of the best teams I've ever covered, top to bottom. Doesn't mean they're going to win it all, but they're ridiculously strong. And I think Arkansas has been the second most talented team in the league and one of the most talented teams in the country. But outside of that, there's been a lot of inconsistency. Obviously Florida would be a prime example of that. I think most of the league has been inconsistent. And so I think it'd be very fortunate if the SEC could get 3 into Omaha, which is a terrific year. I mean, that's the thing. People have been talking about it's a down year for baseball in the SEC. A down year for baseball in the SEC is still better than every other conference. Let's not lose sight of that. So I would say between 2 and 3, I think Arkansas has got a really good chance to pull off an upset on the road. I think a red-hot Auburn team is going to be dangerous. And obviously Tennessee at home, even though I'm very impressed by Link Jarrett and Notre Dame, I just don't think anybody goes into Lindsey Nelson Stadium this year and comes out with a series win.
When you look at Ole Miss, okay, Ole Miss is playing in Hattiesburg against the Golden Eagles. They didn't even go to Hoover. What's that going to – I mean, how are people around the country going to say this team didn't even make their conference tournament, and then if they make it to Omaha, that's going to be a great, great story.
Well, I mean, Ole Miss is just they are the ultimate kind of Jekyll and Hyde this year. They've been really hard to figure out. At one point, they were number 1 in the country, and then another point, they were completely dead and buried. They get hot toward the end of the regular season. A lot of people thought they were not going to get in. I mean, they were one of, if not the last team in the field of 64. And they squeak in, and you get a number 3 seed in a pretty stacked regional in Coral Gables. But when I saw that, I said, you know what? That is bad news for Miami and the other teams in Coral Gables, their regional, because it's a veteran team. Like, it's not like it's a bunch of young guys that are just happy to be there. They've been there, done that. So as long as they could find a way to get in, they were going to be a real pain in the rear for somebody. And as it turns out, that's exactly what happened. Now, I don't know if they have the pitching, and that's going to be another one. The Southern Miss has been very quietly a very good mid-major program for a while. They made it to Omaha under Coach Berry a while back. I had them at LSU a couple of years ago in a regional, and they almost won that one. So that one will be pretty interesting. I actually think Southern Miss is the favorite at home to win that, but Ole Miss has enough. And if you let a Power 5 program in as a 2 or a 3 seed and they wind up winning, very seldom is it an upset. It's just a team that for whatever reason underachieved, and then once you give them the opportunity, well, look out. That's pretty much Ole Miss this year.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Mike Morgan from the SEC Network and ESPN on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We got a Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law. John asked, Mike, which sport do you enjoy calling the most?
I get asked that all the time, John. I truly love all 3. Football is my favorite. If I had to pick one, and basketball and baseball are not far behind. You know, I played all 3 as a kid, played all 3 in high school, and I love all 3 and have a passion for all 3. If I'm not broadcasting those 3 games, I'm watching them. But to get a chance to call SEC football on TV, in the last couple of years, I've been calling NFL on national radio, which has also been a highlight for me because I do love the NFL as well. I think it's one of the few sports where I can really sink my teeth into both levels, college and pro. But it's hard to top if you've got really good college football games. I mean, if you've got a game at the Swamp and it's Florida, Tennessee, Florida, LSU, Florida State. It's really hard to beat the atmosphere, the passion, everything that's going on in some type of event like that. So for me, that would have to be number one. But then there 1A and 1B would be college basketball and college baseball. I call a ton of SEC basketball and baseball, and when it's basketball and you've got a great game and a buzzer beater type situation, that's fantastic. And I cut my teeth on my first beat as a student was the 1994 Final Four team under Lon Kruger. I got that beat when nobody else wanted it. I was just a freshman or sophomore at WRUF, and they weren't expected to do anything. And I got a chance to cover that team from start to finish. And everybody remembers the meat hook, but Dan Cross and Craig Brown are really the stars of that team. That was a ton of fun. And to see what Billy Donovan did all those years, it was incredible. So I love all three. I really do. But there's still nothing better on the sports schedule than college football.
No doubt. Andy has a good question here, brought to you by Melvin Law. Mike, during your long play-by-play career, are there oh crap, it just went away. Hang on just a second. Are there one or two analysts that you have particularly great chemistry with and really look forward to working with?
It's funny, one of the first guys I worked with in the SEC was Chris Doering, and now Doering's become the studio star, right? He's doing the post-game show, and those guys do a great job. But Chris and I had a few games back when we both first started with the SEC and ESPN, and we had a few games at Alabama. We had a couple of games at the Swamp, actually. But I've had so many good ones. On the NFL side, I work with Brian Baldinger, who was a longtime Dallas Cowboy under Tom Landry. Played for Steve Spurrier. Spurrier was an assistant at Duke when he was a player. So he knows Steve really well and has all kinds of stories there. But Baldy is my favorite on NFL. On college, I've had so many terrific former players, Heisman Trophy winners like Andre Ware, ton of former SEC guys like a Matt Stinchcomb, or you just take your pick. So there'd be too many to kind of just pick one or two. I think most of them are really good at what they do. They've paid their dues. They do their homework. And the main thing is, Shane, and you can respect this with your time in the booth, you want to make it fun. It's so important. I think the audience can sense that when the two guys that are calling the game are really enjoying it. Again, credible, but also making it fun, because we're all fans at the end of the day. I mean, we've got in this business, and we've done what we have to do to get to a certain point, but we all would be fans at the end of the day, even if we weren't in broadcasting. So many of the people that I work with help make it fun for me, and hopefully the audience senses that.
We got a text here on the Titan More text line for you. But before I jump into that, it's kind of a two-part question. I wanted to get your thoughts on Mick Hubert retiring, how well you know Mick. He's been doing it a long time. And George, along those lines, George in Atlanta text, being a Gator grad, is there any chance, Mike, you might be the next voice of the Gators?
I've been asked that a few times. Let me start with the first part first. I was a student when Mick was kind of really making a name for himself. And, the Doering's got a touchdown, the Kentucky game, which a lot of people forget that was a pay-per-view game. So students like myself, we had to get together and actually pay money to watch that. I can't remember how you did it back in the day, but somebody got it and paid for it, and I was there to watch that. We don't have to do that anymore now, of course, with the SEC network and every game being nationally televised. But I've gotten to know Mick during my time broadcasting games on radio and TV throughout the SEC, and that's basically what I've done now for the last couple of decades in one form or another. And we always chat. It was always kind and gracious to kind of give me a little background on various Florida teams in the three sports. Got to know him a little bit better as time went along. But I'll be honest with you, I was shocked like everybody else I did not know that Mick had any idea that he was going to retire. And one thing I will say is 30 plus years is a long time. You don't see that much anymore. And I give Mick credit for deciding that, you know what, I've done enough and it's time to enjoy the next phase of my life with his wife and family. So I was surprised, but then again, when I think about it, I wasn't that surprised. 30 some odd years is a long time to be at one school. I've told people on the other front, and I've been, let's just say, fielding some phone calls on that. I'm very happy where I am, but there's one job and one radio job alone that would certainly interest me, and that would be coming back home. Gainesville was a awfully special place to me, and certainly that is a marquee job for somebody. It's a job that really, I think, is one of the top 5 radio jobs in the country, and I imagine that the search will be treated as such. That's somebody that is going to be a pro that has an incredible background and incredible ability. But I have a lot of pride in the time that I spent at Weimer Hall and RUF, one of the best broadcasting schools in the country, and no doubt that whoever gets that job is going to have, again, an elite job. I liken that. That when I say top 5 job in the country, I don't just mean college. I mean college or pro. So certainly if they had any interest, I would be more than happy to listen.
Yeah. Roger's got a text here on the Titan More text line. He says, Mike, your preparation, or is there much difference when you do a game on TV versus doing a game on radio?
Great question. The preparation is the same. Now, how you call the game is different. And I will tell you this, there are a lot of people that have done television play-by-play that if you put them in the radio booth and they have to paint the picture and describe and detail what's going on so that people that are driving in their cars or listening while they're mowing their yard or whatever else the case may be, it's an entirely different skill set. You still have to have a certain voice and a certain inflection and a certain knowledge, but the way I call a game on TV versus when I call a football game on radio, the two are not the same. And what I love about calling a game on radio is that you really are engaging your audience more. When I'm doing a game on television, so much of it is the storylines, and we have graphics, and we have roll-ins, what we call roll-ins, maybe a sound bite from a particular player or somebody like that. But you can see everything in front of you. I don't have to be that descriptive. When I'm calling a game on radio, I have to really put you there. And I do love doing that. That is a unique skill that I think very few people can do in one sport, nonetheless multiple sports. So the preparation is the same, but the ability to call games and really paint a picture for the radio listener, I think is unique. And the other thing is when you're calling games for a team, which I've had chances to do as well, where it stands now, I'm obviously a very neutral announcer, and we just root for this great story, the great finish, and the great game. When you get to call games for a team, well, now you get to have an extra level of passion and excitement because you really are invested in who wins and who loses, and you feel the joy of the wins, and you feel the pain of the defeat. So I think that's something that you get to do that I think is a lot of fun. And I've had a chance to do it before, and sometimes I miss that, having a connection with a particular team to where you really are invested and have a passion for who wins and who loses.
No doubt. And Brian Fox says on Facebook Live, he says, Mike, cough if you are in negotiations to become the next voice of the Florida Gators, with a smiley face. Last thing before we get you out of here, John wants to know, Mike, what is the best game atmosphere you have been to in any sport?
Well, look, this is unbiased when I say this. When the swamp is rolling, there's nothing better. When the swamp is going good, as it did in my years covering Spurrier, the years under Urban, there's no environment. I've had friends of mine that have gone to other schools and they say, Mike, I want to make one SEC trip. Where am I going? I said, I'm taking you to the Swamp. Like you need to experience that at least once. Now, there are others. Don't get me wrong. I've called games in every SEC stadium. I've called games in most ACC, Big 12, called a few out west, which doesn't quite, it's just a different vibe over there. It's a little more chill and laid back. But there are a number of SEC venues, whether it's Auburn, whether it's LSU for a night game. I've called a few at Georgia, obviously. I mean, tennis, so many of these, it really depends on the success of the team and the program, right? Because you're going to have more fans and they're going to be more passionate and more loud and everything else. But I don't think it gets better than the Swamp. And then for basketball, I mean, along those same lines, look, Rupp Arena is special. And it's a beautiful venue, and there's so much history in that building. What I love what Florida has done, and which I wish other SEC schools would do, if you don't have your students a big part of the crowd, then it's not the same deal. It's just not. So there are some venues out there that they sell out, and they have nice buildings and whatnot, but the students, or maybe they're behind a basket, or they're in the corner somewhere, and they don't really have the same impact. We broadcast the games, and the Rowdy Reptiles are right behind us, and you can hear them and you can feel them and you can sense the impact they have on the game. That's any good basketball venue. You got to have a student section that sticks out. And that's why people like Dick Vitale, when they go to Gainesville, they rave about the Rowdy Reptiles and what they've been able to do to influence the game. So, Florida's got two really good ones in the Swamp and in the O'Connell Center. But there's probably a handful of SEC football venues that I would put at the very top, and there's a few basketball ones that certainly stand out. Even Auburn now lately in basketball, it's a smaller arena, but what Bruce Pearl and them have done, they've gotten everybody pumped up, and they, much like Gainesville, they took the same type of model. They put the students right there, front and center. They're right behind us. So that all of a sudden has become an intimidating venue.
Last question for you before we let you go, Mike. You've been grinding with football, basketball, now baseball. You got a couple of weeks, couple of months off before football cranks back up once you're done calling super regionals?
Right. All right, so yeah, I got a couple months off to actually do my other passion, which is going to the beach. I grew up in South Florida. I grew up near West Palm, and I'm still a beach bum at heart. So all my family's down there, and when I get a chance to actually take a breath, I go back down to South Florida. I'll spend much of my summer vacation with my wife and family. A lot of beach time. I know we've got a couple of vacations scheduled on top of that, but you need that time to recharge the battery. You're going strong. You're working every weekend, essentially from September on. And during football, I've been doing college games on Saturday and NFL games on Sunday. So it takes its toll after a while. It's one of those you love what you do, and if you could just get into a time machine and transport yourself without getting on an airplane or a rental car from one venue to the next, this job would be a heck of a lot easier. But yeah, this is the time to regroup, get back. I do a podcast like you do, talk a lot of college football, JC and Morgan, and then that'll keep me kind of engaged in football. And then come August, I start studying. I start getting ready for all the teams and learning who's good and who's not, and what to expect once the games come by, and start getting ready for the schedule. So it's not as big of a window as you would think, but I get a good couple of months to really just enjoy my personal life. And then I can't wait to get by that time, I almost get bored of that, and I want to get back in the booth and do what I love the most, and that is calling games on radio and TV.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join our program today, Mike, and have a great call in Chapel Hill, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Shane, always enjoy it. Really appreciate the job that you do, and appreciate the kind words and great questions from your listeners.
Yes, sir. That's Mike Morgan from the SEC Network and ESPN joining the program. Hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.